Hey, everybody. Hey, how's life out there in the world? Doing pretty well here. It's gotten cloudy and it's going to be cold, relatively speaking. So I'm going to start setting everything up here. So just give me a couple of seconds to get all my silly little screens going. Oh, damn it. So I should use go. Should be live there. Should be live here. Let's see. Yeah. There we go. I'm going to pull up the chat. One moment, please. One moment, please. Just pulling up the chat. Ah, I see. I see you. I like to pop out the chat and then close the YouTube channel on this one. For some reason, and it's got to be just me, but on my Linux machine, if I play live things, live YouTube shows on my Linux machine, it freezes the machine. It'll run for a while, and I'll forget, right? Because I'm watching whatever I'm watching, and I'm into it, and then it'll just freeze the whole system. So I don't know what's going on with that. I don't really care because I've just switched over to my smartphone to watch exclusively, just watch YouTube videos on that, and that works fine. So hey, whatever works. OMCXXX, thanks for stopping in. Living in northern British Columbia. Northern British Columbia? Shit, man. Very cloudy and foggy. Was negative 51 last week here. Warmer this week. Okay, well, cold here is most definitely a relative term. And this is not a show necessarily about the weather, although the weather does affect astronomy. At least some aspects of astronomy quite a bit. Cold here is probably what it's going to be in the next couple of days, and that is dropping into the low 20s, maybe high teens. I've lived here for how long? 12 years in this spot, and the coldest it got, I think, was about I want to say like 7 below zero. This is all Fahrenheit, something like that. And for we're not prepared for that kind of cold. So when it comes and it stays, and it stayed, it was cold. I think it didn't break 20 for like two or 3 days in a row, and everybody's pipes just broke. Even mine. Although I've got some outside pipes that are just attached, to like garden hoses, right? And those pipes been here the whole time, uncovered, unprotected, have never broken. So Who knows? Anyway, yeah. Oh, cool, cool. Thanks for watching the old shows. That's I I need to remember that when I'm doing this. That this this show and these conversations and these gatherings are going to persist. Either as long as the YouTube servers are operational, or until for some reason I decide to delete them, which I don't have any intention on doing. Tonight I have coffee. This is one of those awesome mugs. They're really thick mugs. It's the kinds that you find in restaurants. Plain old. It sort of looks white on the screen, but it's cream colored. So that's just coffee in there. And then of course I've got the dihydrogen oxide as well. All right, hey Bob Dog, how you doing, man? Hope everything is well. Warnock 69XXX. Cheers, 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 cheers. We've got yeah. It looks like it's you three. It's you three and me at the moment. So I've got a couple of things to talk about, but as I said, I consider this a gathering of friends. So I'm when friends gather together in a circle for whatever reason, it's sort of there's an equality here. I just so happen to be the host, so but it's a virtual thing, right? So who cares? Wow. Yeah. So you're not quite above the Arctic Circle though. No. You're not even close. 55, 75. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because I grew up in Washington State, and I think isn't the border like 49 degrees north or 47, something like that. But yeah. Okay. I really won't say cold. And the thing of it is, from my perspective, okay, I am in paradise. So I love it. I love the cold. I love the hot. The really cool thing about the cold here um, is that it doesn't last. So that is the nice thing. Yeah. I as soon as I said 55 north, it's like that's not even close to the Arctic Circle. So yeah, very cool. So started at 2 hours UTC. So for those of you who are watching this in the future, you're going to have to figure out what time that is wherever you are on the planet. Here in Arizona, we're in Mountain Standard Time, which is 7 hours behind UTC. So here it is like 7:08 p.m. on the 16th. So, but because I want to speak astronomically, and astronomically there is one time, and that time is now. And long ago, I don't remember exactly when, but you decided that Greenwich, England, was going to be the I think they call it the prime meridian, and that is 0 degrees longitude. So everything is based off of that. Oh, I've got a floaty I hate floaties. Oh well. That's right. It's now o'clock. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Precisely. Precisely. So you'll have to figure out what time that is. Not too hard. I think anybody who wants to watch can figure it out pretty easily. So yeah, very cool. Interesting astronomical that to talk about tonight. Looks like everybody just jumped. Jump. Okay, cool, cool. You're in. Are you in Arizona? OMC XXX. Are there other states in the United States that don't observe any jumps for at all? Yeah, it is definitely now o'clock for sure. So, anything astronomical that you guys want to talk about at all? Questions, observations, anything like that? That's right. You said that already. So, thing that they observe daylight savings times up there. That's didn't know that. Didn't know that. Interesting. Yeah, the Alaska Highway. Yeah, we when there was a window in time back and just got out of college where I had an opportunity to pretty much on the planet that I wanted. One of the places I was looking at was well, it's the university up in Fairbanks. Sorry, I'm messing with my terrible camera now. And by the way, also for future folks, apologies for the lighting. Really suck, and the video is pretty terrible, and the audio is mediocre. So apologies in advance. This is what I've got. Got to start somewhere, and I am definitely starting at the bottom. Anyway, the university up there in Fairbanks was doing some pretty interesting stuff, but now decided to pretty much stay in Arizona. Just moved to somewhere nice and dark, which is where I am now. I'm in southeastern Arizona. Probably about I would say maybe 30 to 40 miles north of the Mexican border. So yeah, a lot of border activity here. Lots of motion. Lots and lots of motion. A lot of smuggling, right? A lot of people smuggling. A lot of drug smuggling. Lots and lots and lots. It, constantly. I actually live near sort of a trail that probably immigrants move up on, but probably also smugglers use as well, because I'm always finding their water bottles and trash and everything else. And it's like I personally don't mind any of that, but I do mind if they mess up my area, right? As long as they don't bother me or pretty much anybody else, it's like, you know, I sort of put myself in their shoes. And it's like, yeah, you know, if I thought, you know, that there were opportunities elsewhere, but it was a little bit shady, you know, to have to get in, um, I I would certainly consider it at least. And you know, those folks are taking a big chance. And anyway, I'm getting way off topic, way off topic. The So I think OMCXXX, I think it is you and I at the moment. So let me see. What, yeah, I got to start somewhere. The lighting is a bit dark. It's all I have in this office is one little lamp that I have shining up against uh, sort of a white wall. And so what you're seeing here is the reflection of that light off the wall. So, you know, it's coming in, and yeah, it is a little bit dark. I think probably what I can do, and what I will do relatively soon, is just get another lamp to put back there somewhere, so the background is a little more illuminated. So yeah, just, you know, little technical things doesn't change, you know, the quality of the content or anything else. So hey, you know, it's very cool. Let's see. Oh yeah, I mean, it's not really an apology. It's just I'm acknowledging uh, what are probably going to be observations made, and so yeah, I mean, it isn't exactly an apology. It's just a recognition that you know, this is far from optimal, but hey, whatever. It's very cool. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Okay, well, it looks like I've got I'm and I'm sort of talking out loud here, trying to understand things. This says I've got two viewers, but I've got at least two of you in the chat. So um, maybe it's a thing where, and yeah, I've got you two in the chat. So very cool. So Warnock 69XXX is here. I also have this guy who just jumped up. Hi. So uh, I do believe that one aspect of happiness is having a purring kitty in the lap. So that's pretty awesome when they're here. And he's just out of frame. By the way, I don't know if you notice. I think I'm pointing to it. Let me go to the live screen or the full screen to see if I can see it. Oh, I'm not seeing it. Maybe there's supposed to be a little logo. I don't know if it's supposed to be in here or here. Maybe those pop up once the live show is done. So um, uh, this cat is Zir, Zir, and he's pretty awesome. He sort of talks in a funny way. When he gets going, he'll just uh, talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. Anyway, so he's down here. He's purring and kneading and everything else, just like what cats are supposed to do. All right, we are 18 minutes in, and I haven't said the word astronomy in at least five minutes. So there you go. So anything that you guys want talk about at all? Otherwise, I will get into a couple of things. 5 cats, 1 dog, a snake, 2 rats, and a bearded dragon. Cool, cool. We had oh, what kind of python is that? It's not the ball python. It's just the other one. It's the regular one. We had her for a few years. She had obviously been a pet of some sort that probably got too big or out of hand or anything else, and she was found in the middle of the road, had been run over by a truck, and so I figured she was probably going to die, but she didn't, and yeah, she grew really well. We grew and fed her rats for a few years until we found her a really awesome home. This guy had his whole house decked out for reptiles, and it was awesome. So she's probably still alive, I would think. I think they live a pretty long time. So anyway, well, what I was going to at least one of the things that I was going to talk about tonight was something that I touched on last night, and that is what's called calibration. When you're collecting astronomical data for science, you have to you just want to measure the information coming from the object that you are studying. You don't want any other info getting in there, primarily from the instrumentation. Oh, you know what? OMCXXX, you don't need a telescope at all to look at the full moon. You probably know that, at least. So let's see. So we get 2 full moons in March. When would be the most opportune time / moment to observe the moon if you only have a low power telescope? Okay, well, observing full moon with a telescope is actually not really ideal. One, because it's sort of at its maximum brightness, and so it's going to burn your eye out. That's not exactly true, but you'll feel it. You'll feel it, especially if you're in a dark site and your eyes are dark adapted already. Stick your eye onto the eyepiece and it's. I mean, you will pull your eye back and you will just see a black spot around your eye. The best time to observe the moon with a telescope is pretty much any time except full moon, and of course you can't see it at new moon. So pretty much any other time is good, because you're going to be getting some shadowing, and you're not going to have the full disk, right? And so the shadowing allows you to to really pick out the craters. Pick out the craters. That same cat is now moving this shitty camera around. All right, there we go. Yeah. So anytime, start with low magnification, right? You don't. Everybody seems to have this idea that the higher the magnification, the better it is. No. The higher the magnification, the smaller the field of view you have, and because of the atmosphere's blurring effects, that blurring is also magnified. And so as you magnify and magnify and magnify and magnify, it just gets crappier and crappier and crappier. So I would start with a low magnification telescope and go from there. It's absolutely it's gorgeous. It's mind blowing. It's absolutely fantastic. So I'm OMCXXX says my wife's birthday in March, and she's been wanting a telescope forever. So I'm getting her a smaller one. Not much. Yeah. Hey, that is very, very cool. This you don't need a large telescope at all to just be completely blown away by what you can see. The only caveat to that is that you really should try to find a dark site. If you're living in the city, you're going to be limited, but not out of the game at all. You'll be able to see at least all the visible planets. You'll be able to see the moon. You'll definitely be able to see pick out a bunch of binary stars. And binary stars are pretty cool, to see. There's one. It's not visible now. It's actually with the sun at the moment, but its name is Albireo. It's in the constellation of Cygnus, the Swan, and Albireo is an absolutely beautiful binary star. I'm not going to tell you any more than that because I really want you to see it. And if you want to, go ahead and cheat, Google it, and it's ALBER Albireo, so ALBERIO. And actually, the neatest way to really have Albireo pop is to actually defocus the telescope a little bit. So don't make the stars nice and sharp, but make them a little blurry. And it's absolutely just gorgeous. Yeah, nice binary star. I'm trying to play with the focus a little bit here. Sorry. Let's see. Yeah, so that's another thing too, that you don't need a big telescope. This is an 8-inch telescope, and it's much more than what anybody would ever need. This I use as a science instrument. So let me look at the comments here really quick. Entry-level astronomy job career opportunities that don't require higher education degrees, diplomas. That's a question that I actually ask myself a lot, because that's actually my career path as well. I did not go along the academic path. I'm I guess way too much of a rebel, and yeah. So it's so I don't really have an answer to that. If you want to look and see what jobs are available, you can go to the American Astronomical Society job register, and I think that's jobregister.aas.org, and you will see most of the jobs are tenure track professorships of sorts. There are some good science jobs, and you don't necessarily have to do the university thing. There are a few independent institutions that do astronomy, like the Planetary Science Institute, which is actually over in Tucson. They're doing some pretty interesting stuff. So look into that. Yeah, that's a tough one to get into. I think it can be done, because I mean I'm an example of that. So I mean it can be done. Let's see, the higher the magnification and the more focus, therefore the smaller the field of view. That's fundamentally correct. That's right. That's right. Yeah. You know what? I just joined about a week ago. I joined a Facebook group called I think it's called Smartphone Astronomy, and this is a very, very, very active group, and they have smartphone mounts that you can put on your scope. You know, put it in the right place, and yeah, they're doing some pretty. You know, it's not science level, right? They're just snapping photos, but it's it's very, very cool. Now, I have a smartphone as well that I don't use as a phone. I actually got it for a project that I did last year. Um, there were some guys I'm trying. I think one of them was in France, and his coworker was in India, and they um, they they had this idea that as the sun set, uh, the sky, you know, near the horizon got redder and redder and redder, and then all of a sudden just went, what they said was white, which didn't make much sense to me at the time. But they were looking for somebody to confirm this, and they had a few other ideas about what they wanted to do with that. And so, because of my experience with all sky cameras, and my experience in general, I raised my hand, and it's like, hey, I can do that. And so I thought about it a little bit, and it's like, okay, how am I going to get color, right? Well, shit, I'm going to have to get filters and a filter wheel, and I'm going to have to build an enclosure. I was thinking, like an all sky thing, and then I would have to have a filter wheel that turned, and I had all this stuff. And then it dawned on me, it's like, well, smartphones are color. They have R, G, and B. And it's like, well, why don't you guys get me a smartphone, and I'll sort of do a proof of concept, to see if this is going to work, and will it also, produce the results that you think you're going to get. And so they did that, and that was a fun project. It turns out, and I mean, I told them this, but it was kind of neat, to see the actual data. Um, uh, the sky does not go red and red and red and red and red, and then all of a sudden white. um, it's but that was an interesting project, using a smartphone. And hey, we got cat boxing here. No good. Jeez, the kids are always in trouble. Always in trouble. Um, all right, so I'm going to keep reading OMCXXX's, because he is just being just absolutely prolific tonight. So yeah, so think about using your smartphone on your scope, to snap some shots. if that's what you want to do. I think that will work out really, really well. And check out that Facebook group, Smartphone Astronomy, I think is what it's called. So yeah, very awesome. Regarding dark skies, we live in a small town of 8,000, surrounded by nothing but farmland. Yeah, yeah. We also have. Yeah. Okay. So you're in a pretty nice dark side already. So that's, yeah. Man, that, as I said, and I will say it over and over and over again, the number one reason, number one, topping everything else, okay, out of the screen, right, way up there, the number one reason why I am at this location is because it's dark. So nothing else particularly matters. Yeah, Alberio, Alberio. Yeah, that's it. So with astronomy technically being the study of absolutely everything, right? Yeah. What do you think about grand solar minimums, polar reversals? Yeah, I think that we just don't know enough at all, and we tend to box ourselves in to a set of beliefs. Science today is, at least mainstream science, is almost like a religion, right? You have a dogma, you have a set of beliefs, and if you stray out of those boundaries, right? Out of those boundaries, I'm going to do it straight. Um, uh, you are either ignored or ridiculed or anything else, and people, that is not science. That's part of science. Ridicule is good, but the thing is to be open-minded and skeptical. Don't believe anything at all, but keep your mind open to the possibilities. I mean, we think that we know a lot about how things are, but if you look at history, we've always thought that we know what's going on, and time and time again, we're not, well, we're either wrong, just flat out wrong, or we just don't have a full comprehension of things. So, you know, uh, events like uh, uh, solar minimums and polar reversals and ice ages, and all that, we really don't know. And I don't buy any theory, but I'm open to all of them. Um, I think one of the big things that astronomy has ignored is the electrical nature of the universe. Um, at least according to uh, our measurements, the electrical force is 10 to the 39. It's 39 orders of magnitude stronger than the gravitational force. Well, to me, that makes gravity not there. It's not there. And so some people think that gravity is more of an emergent phenomena of electricity, and that actually all the forces, all four of the known ones, the strong force, the weak force, the electromagnetic force, and the gravitational force, are all aspects of one force, which is the electrical force. And I sort of lean that way. You know, one reason probably is because I'm sort of a contrarian, and if the group thinks this, then I'm going to automatically think that. But to me, it's almost a no-brainer when you have a force that's 39 orders of magnitude stronger than another. That makes that smaller force just almost not there at all. So and so what does that mean? How does that change our perception of what's going on? Uh, so yeah. Good questions, and it requires scientific inquiry to figure all that out, and that scientific inquiry is a process. Let's see, current evidence support. Yeah, and that's another thing. I mean, we've been making sort of decent observations of the universe for maybe a little over 100 years. I mean, if you really want to stretch it, we've made we've been making sort of modern acceptable observations. Got a kitty on my lap again. It's a different one. For maybe 200 years, maybe if you really stretch. That is too short of a timeline. And yeah, we can look at ice cores and we can look at rocks, but the geology of Earth is subject to these enormous forces that I just referred to. And so there's even questions about geology as well, and it may not be such a slow thing. There are theories, at least, backed with some pretty interesting evidence that mountains are formed in minutes with these huge events. So, but who knows? Who knows? We really don't know, and frankly, that's how I like it. I mean, look, if we knew all this shit, we'd be bored. At least I would be. So I appreciate not knowing, and I think that's it's fun to be a scientist because I have developed tools to try to figure things out, and but I don't think I ever will. I don't think anybody will. So yeah, it's very cool. Put the link in the video description. A link. Can you put a link in the video description when you post this final video? I'm not quite sure what that means. I'm pretty dense, so this is a neutron star matter up here, so it takes a while. So usually the most obvious things just completely fly over my head. So let's see. Do I not think the Aztecs and the Chinese did more than acceptable observations of the stars prior to 200 years? I don't. They did do very good observations, but it's hard to line those up with sort of our current scientific methods. They had their methods of observation and deduction and induction, and it's sometimes difficult to match those two things up. We have data from them that we can interpret in sort of modern ways, but when it comes to things like flipping of poles and sunspots, okay, solar cycles, they didn't have the means of making those kinds of observations at all. So that data just isn't there, as far as I know, at least. Let's see. You put a link in the video description when you post this final video. When you post your video later in the Creator Studio. I guess I'll have to look into that a little bit more, because yeah, I'm just being incredibly dense, and sorry. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at it and think about it a little bit, and no worries, no worries. I'll get it. I'll figure it out eventually. Let's see. We do have proof of much older civilizations having a significantly better grasp of astronomy. Well, yeah, I think it's just in a different way. So you know, maybe it's hard for us to properly interpret. I don't know, just an opinion. Those are the best scientists because they can ask questions without bias. Yeah, and that, you know, that it's the dream of all scientists, to ask those unbiased questions. You know, questions coming from ignorance, I guess, because usually those are very awesome, and yeah, they're coming from a place of curiosity, and that's a very good place to start, for sure. So and I've seen this, you know, time and time again, and I've also experienced, you know, the giddiness, the childlike giddiness, discovery, and you know, trying to figure things out and playing with stuff, and all of that, and yeah, I think scientists should definitely try to move towards that those wow moments. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. I have options to edit it, including what's in the description. If you posted links, sites to talk about it, makes it easier for people watching after the live streams to find online content you reference. Okay, so you're talking about like links to like the job register at the American Astronomical Society. Is that what you mean? I think so. I hope so. OMCXXX, thanks for coming in. I'm glad you're here. You are keeping me on my toes. I appreciate it, man, very much. This is extremely awesome. I hope that you can sort of imagine us, you know, sitting around in a circle, doing what we do in circles, and yeah, you know, just having good conversation with good people. I really appreciate that. let's see. It's so easy. Well, see that there you go right there. Okay. If it's so easy, I just can't do it. After the video is up, click your icon, top right corner on YouTube, click Creator Studio, click Video Manager, click Edit. Yeah, you want to edit. You want to bring up the page right below the video in the window for title, description. Okay, yeah. I got you. I got you. Thank you. um, well, yeah. I mean, I guess um, intelligent conversation is a matter of perspective. I hope that this is also fun, because as far as I'm concerned, that's what it's all about. Really, it's just having as much fun as we can. And for me, talking astronomy is fun, just absolutely fun. Except I slouch too much. OMC I think I'm good. I think I'm good. Yeah, yeah. Um, let's see. Oh well, cool. Well, I appreciate that. I hope I, I hope that this is entertaining to a certain extent. Um, I'm definitely not putting on a show. So I don't. I wouldn't consider this as entertainment. But I can see, yeah, I can see that. I can see that for sure. Gonna be blown out of the water with excellent conversation. Yeah, yeah. I'm hoping that I'm I'm just going to be part of the group, right? I'll be the host, and otherwise, I just want to be a part of the group, right? Um, although uh, I am the hammer. So, as long as you get on here, I'll be the hammer. But otherwise, yeah, I think this is just a gathering of friends. I've I have a lot of experience talking to a broad spectrum of people about astronomy, so I'm extremely comfortable talking to 5-year-olds and 85-year-olds, and everything um, in between. And this show is for everybody. It's for the amateur. It's for the newbie. It's for the advanced amateur. It's for the professional. I, I definitely want to try to uh, draw some pros in, um, and have these kinds of fun conversations where it isn't them teaching us or preaching to us or facts. The Earth is 93 million miles from the sun, and fact after fact after fact. I don't. It's not. I mean, those are pieces of data, but um, uh, yeah, that's not all that interesting and not all that fun. So I'm I'm trying here and now, to sort of keep the facts at a minimum, and treat this more like a conversation uh, than anything else. At the moment, I'm the only one that's blah blah blah, but hopefully, yeah. I mean, over time, that'll change. And by the way, I do have a question. It's not an astronomy one. It's more of a social media question, and that is, trying to get attention to this channel, and these days I can tweet a message to pretty much anyone in the world, and they'll get it in 2 seconds, and actually we can have a conversation right over Twitter. And so the question that I have is that I follow a whole bunch of astronomy things, both institutions and people. Hello, Off-Grid Messiah. Hello, peace. Glad you can come in. Glad you're here. And so the question is, would it be rude of me to over Twitter? These people aren't following me, so I can't really message them. But over Twitter, say, hey, I'm starting, my Astronomy Daily Live show in an hour. Why don't you come by? Would that be rude to do that? Is that too pushy? Because I mean, I'm sort of a follower of the golden rule, right? So it's like, I definitely don't necessarily appreciate pushy, although I've never really experienced that much. But I don't want to come off as pushy or rude or anything else. So let's see. For them, sure, yeah, okay. So there's a couple of things about that, and they're the same for on YouTube. Okay, do tell. I'm waiting with bated breath. And my coffee is cold. Sorry, I said the word. I said the C word. So absolutely shout out your stuff and invite others to your content, but do it at the end of their conversation. Well, I'm saying if I want to tweet a couple of people and say, they're who knows what they're doing, right? They're at work, they're at home, they're whatever. I tweet them and say, hey, I'm doing this Astronomy Daily Live in an hour. Why don't you come on by? That's an appropriate thing to do. Because I'm not going to necessarily be too noisy on somebody else's show. That is rude for sure. That is their show. I'm not going to take it over unless I'm invited to, right? So these guys aren't necessarily, or these folks aren't necessarily following me. But yeah, I guess what you're saying is if they're on Twitter, they have time for that kind of thing. Yeah, well, and what you say there is sort of what I was thinking. It's like if they don't like it or are annoyed in any way, they have an option, to block or turn me off or ignore or whatever. So I just, I just don't want to be, I just don't want to be rude. Okay, all right. Well, as I said, the other thing I want to do too is um, get people on the panel here. So if anybody ever wants to get on with that, you can just drop me an email, cosmiclettuce@gmail.com, and I'll send you the link. And yeah, we'll do that, and that'll be even better, than chat. Yeah, very, very cool. Um, yeah. Okay. All right. All right. I I will I will take your advice under advisement uh, at a minimum, for sure. At a minimum. All right. Very cool. This approaches is probably now we're doing okay. I got you. I got you. All right. Well, thank you for the insight. That's awesome. Very, very awesome. Um, so I'm going to get back to talking about calibrations really, really quick. I mentioned in yesterday's show that I actually do have a very nice webcam that I uh, I've turned into a scientific instrument. So I just took off the front lens. This is I'm trying to remember. It's a Logitech. I think it's a C525. You can see the array in there. See right there. Um, uh, so I just took off the lens part. Still got it around here somewhere, and put a 1.25" eyepiece tube on there. Gorilla glued it on, right onto the edge there. Let's see this. Yeah, this is going to be a shitty focus because there's no focus. There's no focus control on this damn thing. So I don't know. Piece of shit. But anyway, so there's that, and so this goes onto the telescope. The software for this camera is really, really nice. You can everything can be manually set. Um, and then I just focus with the telescope, right? So this doesn't have a focus, but I focus the telescope on it, and there you go. So scientific instruments like this, or I also have a CCD camera. It's thermoelectrically cooled, scientific grade CCD camera. You want to remove all of the artifacts that are created by your instrumentation, because if you're measuring the brightness of a star, and say you're looking at a variable star, and you want to watch it vary in time. Here I can oh, this is hard. Like that, right? It's going to get brighter and darker and brighter and darker over time. And you want to do that in a very precise way. Then you have to take out all the contributions from the outside that isn't the light from that star. And the instrumentation itself can contribute quite a bit to that. So in the case of astronomy, there are basically three pieces of information you need in order to calibrate out all that extra stuff. First is what's called bias, and that's just the electrical noise of the camera itself. That is, you take a 0-second exposure, and you usually take several of these, add them all up, and then divide by the number of images to get an average bias. So that's the first thing you do, and that's a 0-second exposure. So that's just measuring sort of the electrical noise of the electronics itself, right? Yeah, you know, just as an aside, CXXX, I thought of the whiteboard thing. I can also, you know, like use like Microsoft Paint or something, and just share my screen. So I'm thinking about those kinds of things too. So yeah, this is a very, very organic thing here. I'm just going to let it grow the way that it wants to, and I'm just going to provide, you know, the means to do it. So the second set of calibration data that you have to take in order to remove all these instrumentation effects is what's called a dark frame or a dark image. And what that is say that you're looking at like a variable star, and you're taking 10-second exposures. So what you want to do in terms of taking a dark frame is take, again, a number of images with like your lens cap on, but take a 10-second exposure. So as opposed to a bias frame that's a 0-second exposure, this is a dark frame, which is going to be taken at the exposure time of your science data. So if you're taking a 10-second exposure of your star, you're going to have a matching set of dark frames for that exposure time. So if you're taking a 1-second exposure and a 5-second exposure and a 10-second exposure and a 20-second exposure, you're going to have darks for all of those as well. And again, taking darks, you're going to want to take a number of them, you know, 10 or 20, and then take the average of all of those. So bias, dark. The last one is what's called a flat field. And flat fields are probably the trickiest ones to take. Just checking in on the chat here, making sure that I'm not missing anything. Yeah, you know, if you've got a smartphone, at least the one I have. Okay, this is a Samsung S7. There is a way to completely manually change everything, and you can go up to a 10-second exposure, at least with the app I have. I'm also a software engineer, so never actually written an app, and shame. But no, I never have. I've got I've got a few ideas in terms of apps for this phone. So, and one of them most definitely is writing a different kind of camera app that might be more geared towards astronomical things, especially collecting science data, not necessarily just pretty pictures, which have incredible value, but not much value in terms of science. So the third piece of calibration data that what's called a flat field. And a flat field measures the sensitivity of each of the pixels in your camera. So there are a couple of ways to take a flat field. In the major observatories, what they have is they have this big screen up on the inside of the dome, this big white screen, and they have lights that project full spectrum onto that screen. So it's just a very smooth white screen, and they point the telescope at that. So what the camera is seeing is just this flat field. But every pixel in one of these cameras is an individual. So they all have slightly different sensitivities to that light. There's also, there's always pieces of dust, any kind of weird optical effects, anything like that is going to be picked up in the flat field. And of course, you don't want that in your science data. You want to be able to take all that out. And so what you do there is CCD cameras, at least, have at very low light levels, they have a certain level of sensitivity, and as you brighten that light, of course, it's going to go up and up and up, and at some point it's going to saturate, which means the pixels are just full, right? So what you want to do is you want to find an exposure time such that you're not at a very low light level, but you're also not saturating, but rather you're at about maybe 80% of your maximum data value. And like a 16-bit camera is going to have a dynamic range from 0 to 65535. Is that right? I think so. And so I usually look for an exposure time that will give me a maximum data value of maybe like 50,000 or so. If you don't have an observatory that has a flat field screen, there are other ways. The best way is to wait for a particular time of twilight, and you can actually observe this. Watch the twilight, and what you'll notice is that for a little bit of time, a few minutes, several minutes, the sky will actually look sort of gray, and that's the optimal time to take your flats. So if you can set your exposure time such that you're getting nice, decent data values, you take a bunch of exposures as fast as you can, because the sun is setting, so the brightness of the sky is changing all the time. So you might have to change your exposure times as it gets darker and darker. It's a race. It's a fun race. And then depending on if you use any kind of filters or anything else, you have to take a flat field for every one of your filters too. So it's a real race, especially if you're using the twilight light as your flat. What I do is I take a white T-shirt and I put that over the top of the scope, so across here, and then I can point that pretty much anywhere in the sky, and I will have a nice uniform flat field. And so I can take my time a little bit more, you know, to get some good, nice, decent flat fields. And oh, good. I'm glad you found the smartphone astronomy. Yeah, it's a very active group, very active. They've got I've noticed, you know, upwards of a dozen or so posts every day. So that's pretty good. So then you do exactly the same thing with the flat fields. You take a bunch of these, take the average, then you go and collect your data, and you have an observing run, right? Where you know, you collect your, you know, your brightness of the variable star, or, you know, whatever you're looking at. Now, all of this goes for astrophotography too. Good astrophotographers have to do this. Otherwise, the photographs look pretty poor. So, you know, the real pros, they have to do all of this as well. Even if you're just going after sort of a pretty picture. If you're going after data that you want, you know, to do analysis on, write a paper on, all of that, you most definitely have to, and you have to describe that in the paper, what you did and how and all of that. So you collect your science data. Yeah, I think, and then you just apply these calibration images to your data, and then what you have at the end is what is called, rightly so, calibrated data, and that's your pot of gold right there, for sure. All right, well, very cool. It is only you and I on CXXX, but hopefully others will be watching this later in the future. Hello, future you nice folks out there. You got anything else on CXXX? Otherwise, I think I'm gonna shut down for the night. It's kind of interesting. I start getting a little bit tired around like 6:30 here or so. Oh, somebody just popped in. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I appreciate, you know, the crossover. It's an interesting crossover. Yeah. Two different groups for sure. But yeah, I like Melty. He's I think what I like about him most is that he really looks like he's having a lot of fun, and I'm trying to model this show a little bit off of his, because he most definitely has a lot of fun. So and I think he's getting more popular too. At least I hope he is. I think yeah. And you know what? I don't know if you've made this observation or not, but you know, he's at first glance, he sort of he comes off as sort of a goof, right? It's like, man, what a just a dumb old goof, right? But let me tell you something. At least what I get is that he is a pretty smart dude. He seems to really know a lot, and he has a lot of wisdom. So a pretty smart guy. I think he's you know, this is just, you know, speculation, but I think he's acting a little bit there. I don't think that's quite him. I could be completely wrong. But yeah, he's a pretty smart dude. And yeah, you know, I am I'm I won't say I'm most happy, but I'm really happy when I see other people who are happy. It's very infectious. And yeah, and he does that. He does that really well. Uh, and yeah, and it's not fake either, right? It's not like I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be positive today. It's not that. He seems inherently uh, positive, and if it's an act, it's a good act. But I don't think it's all an act. But I think a little bit of it is. mm. In the Hangouts one night, I asked him a question, and he pulls out this obscure book and flips. Yeah. There's much more to him than what he is letting on. That's just my intuition about that. Yeah, for sure. Using this page, he's got it going on. So he's enjoying himself. Yeah. Well, and I don't know if we only get one. Um, uh, but yeah, I decided long ago, and hey, I don't practice this as much as I should, but I realized pretty early on that the purpose in life is to have fun, um, and uh, yeah, when you're having fun, you're not necessarily fighting, and you're not necessarily hurting each other, um, and you're just uh, you're having fun and letting everybody else have fun too, and it works. It works. So yeah, well, you said it. You said it right there. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, it's pretty easy to be miserable too, because yeah, uh, that's sort of two sides. It's like, okay, you know, I can pretty much do anything I want. So, you know, am I going and doesn't really matter what I do anyway. So is that a good thing that things really don't matter, or is that a bad thing? I don't know. Yeah, yeah. I think we just have to let him do it. You know, it's and Thoreau taught me early on that if I want to change the world, it change me, uh, and if I want a nice world, I've got to be nice, and if I want the world to have fun, then I've got to have fun too. And I definitely don't practice that as much as I want to or should. But hey, things like astronomy, uh, that definitely is a fun thing, um, for sure. So, all right, I think I'm going to beam back up, get off this particular planet for a little while, and because hey, uh, the Earth keeps spinning, and that means time keeps going by. Uh, channel, gonna do something. Well, I appreciate anything that you are willing to give. The one of my big things is this concept of the gift economy, and one of the aspects of the gift economy that people don't pay much attention to is receiving. The gift economy isn't just about giving; it's about receiving. And so um, I receive in total joy. So anything that anybody wants to give me, I absolutely 100% happily receive that, and I try to pass it on as well. Maybe not that particular object or sentiment or anything like that, but the vibe, right? The vibe, passing it on, passing it on. Let's see. Yep, I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for stopping in, and again, to future viewers, thank you very much. This is Astronomy Daily Live. It's happening every day at 2 hours UTC. We'll see all of you again 22 and a half hours. Wherever you are, peace, have fun, and I will see you tomorrow.